I know that in the briefing that we had, you really were, you guys are very passionate about ensuring that you're not just another trading desk. And tell me a little about how you're differentiating yourselves in the market.
Yeah, I mean, I think the market calls us a trading desk because they don't really know what else to call us, and other agency holding companies have these trading desks. So Xaxis does indeed act as a trading desk, but we do a lot more than that. The trading desk only buys inventory on exchanges via RTB. At Xaxis, we think of ourselves as, since we've built our own technology, we can plug in any type of data source, any type of inventory source. So it's not necessarily on exchanges, but it can really be anywhere. And in fact, it can be, we plug into networks, we plug into directly to publishers and build these private exchanges. So this brings audience buying, the data that is with audience buying to any targetable inventory.
So let's dissect private exchanges for a little bit. Tell me exactly what a private exchange is.
So we have built something called Xaxis Premium. And what this is we've gone out to the top-notch publishers in the market and said, listen, we represent GroupM advertisers, these select advertisers, and we would like to do programmatic buying on your sites. We'd like to bring advertiser data to the party to be able to deliver relevant messages to audiences on their sites. And they've actually been extremely excited to sign up with us, because this allows them a way to monetize their inventory, not necessarily through exchanges, but ensuring that they're going to get the best advertisers available in the market. So it's a great way to have really kind of a tier 2 way to monetize their inventory on their sites. And for brands, it gives them a nice complement, a nice branding vehicle in addition to video and display that is brand safe, but also you get the efficiencies of audience buying.
So tier 2 meaning second only to personal high-touch sales?
Yeah, exactly. What we would consider, homepage takeover, high-touch contextual placements that are,
customized
for that day or for that.
Okay, all right. So you're talking about the actual creative execution as being bespoke versus, okay.
So this might be more, very high-quality publisher above the fold inventory on the second page, let's say.
Okay. So I just want to be clear before I ask this question. Christina did say I could ask her anything I wanted to.
Yeah.
So are you able to speak to, if not the absolute number, but the percentage of total spend that is flowing through Xaxis?
Across all of GroupM? Yeah, I mean, I don't really have that number per se, but I can say, we do work with over 800 advertisers globally. So Xaxis isn't just and I think this also differentiates us from the other trading desks. We're a global company. We're in 16 markets. We're going to be 26 by the end of this year. We work with hundreds of advertisers. And it depends on the advertiser whether it's a small percentage of their spend versus a large percentage of their spend.
Can you talk to that a little bit more color as to who is converting greater percentages of total budget to programmatic buying versus not? Is that by vertical? Like, are you seeing it?
Well, we're seeing it, I would say, actually, and this is a question that comes up a lot. What's the right vertical? How do I know if my client would get value from Xaxis? What verticals do you work with? And really, every vertical. We work across B2B, finance, retail, CPG, luxury, travel, you name it. I think we initially started off working more with performance-based advertisers, but with the launch...
Oh, was that for display?
For display, and with the advent of video and these premium offerings across, the premium publishers that I was talking about, that private exchange, Xaxis Premium, we now have a really strong offering for branding advertisers as well, and can measure the effectiveness of their advertising on in-store sales. So this is really unlocked for us. The more brand-based advertisers. In fact, in many of our markets abroad, the video component of the business has taken off, like crazy. In some cases, over 50% of the spend is allocated to video versus display, and in some cases, it's actually higher than that, much higher. And it's because it's an efficient, safe way to reach the audience. with a branding format.
So safety keeps coming up. I'm really curious. I would love for you to sort of, in the value proposition to advertisers, what does, obviously it excludes indecent adjacencies. We've established that, right? So that's check. That's a mark off the box. But so what does safe mean in advertising? And honestly, if everybody's asking for a viral freaking video, is a viral video safe? Like, it feels like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I think safety is, again, I talk a lot to our clients, so I talk a lot to CMOs, and that, especially for our brand advertisers, is the number one thing. How do I know, when we say things like we can deliver your message against an audience wherever they are online, for some of them that causes a bit of anxiety. Well, I don't want to reach them in certain places. How can you help me? How can you help me ensure that we're not going to get them when they're viewing, content that has nothing to do with the brand? And so what we do is we set up. There's a lot of different ways we can have a technology fix, or we can set up a whitelist, so it can ensure that you're only going to run across this set of sites. And in RTB, that site list may be in the thousands, and in this exchange, that the Xaxis Premium that I was talking about, we're really talking about more like 10 to 20 to 30 publishers where they're going to be running. And that gives them more comfort.
So I would love to, because I think, Christina, you're kind of in a very unique position as far as the panel goes, so I want to kind of get into some granularity. I would love to dissect a typical RTB, private exchange, in agency holding company platform campaign. The multivariate equation that is the business rules that deliver that. What are those multivariate elements?
So we have the way we approach it. We have something called the affinity tier. So we approach it. RTB for us is just a way to reach. It's just really the plumbing, a way that we can deliver the message to the audience. So it doesn't have to be RTB. We like to start maybe a bit at the higher level and say, what are the goals and objectives of this campaign, and who are we trying to reach? So let's say I'm trying to sell cell phones. There's going to be a certain type of person that I'm looking for at the top of the funnel versus someone at the bottom of the funnel. So at the bottom of the funnel, I may just be trying to reach someone who's already raised their hand. We know they're in market. I can reach them via RTB because where they are, it doesn't matter as much as who they are. Whereas at the top of the funnel, we are really more concerned about environment and context, and there we might use other channels like video. So we actually, I think our within Xaxis, we're starting to think of audience planning rather than purely just media planning. So where is the user within the funnel, and how can we reach them?
So how do you work with media planning teams?
We work, in many cases, and Andy can also probably speak to this, we work hand in hand with the media teams. For them, we're really the specialists in audience buying. Data is so important in this space, and the type of data that is available has just exploded in the last, call it 18 months. So everyone at our company has been trained on audience strategy and what are the different data points out there and how do we use this? What's the difference between data logics versus eye behavior versus shopper data from Kantar, shopper data from IRI, Nielsen, et cetera. So we've all been trained in this, and this is where I think we add value to the agency's teams, because they can come to us and give us the overall objectives of the campaign, and then we go out and try to find the right data that's going to meet the objectives that they're trying to reach. And then also make a recommendation, like, let's use RTB to reach this user versus I think that this one might be, we need to be in a more premium environment. So we work hand in hand.
So one thing you haven't mentioned is screen. I'm intrigued by that, especially because Andrew suggested that it should just be video. But when you know things like there are direct corollaries between the size of the screen and the average duration of video consumed, which lends itself to a greater elasticity or appetite for longer formats of creative for ad units, right? If it's a really small screen and you're still running that same derivative 30-second spot, it is as valuable on my phone as it is on my connected television. I mean, I know it's easier for us to throw them all into a pot, but how important is the actual, the end channel that the inventory is delivered into your planning process?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we think of it as much as we think of inventory, it really matters the audience. It matters less where they are. That's sort of our philosophy. I think screens, it does matter with the sort of state of mind that the user is in. And, I think that the real challenge isn't necessarily, are they on the size of is it on a tablet or a mobile device, but it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, TV and video, and that's something that we're still struggling with, is bridging the gap between TV and online video.